not going to be able to go outside of their helmets.
I got you on the slide. I hit live while you were talking to let you know.
What's going on,
No,
everybody?
it's a good segue into a lot of stuff we're gonna be talking about. So it's like it might give them a little bit of teaser. Ooh, let me clean my glasses a little bit off. I guess I'll give the people a minute to kind of file in here. I know we actually catch a lot more of our viewership kind of in the recast, or people catching it later on, and that's all. That's all to the good. Also, I think that most of our commentary is still fresh, regardless. I see we got Atris in the house. What's up, bro? Orale,
Hmm.
orale, way. Just playing, just playing, just playing. So good to have you in here. First, before we do anything else, Jalen, my brother, how have you been doing? How's this week been going? How's everything been treating
Um, Everything's been going pretty good. Just finally got a few spots to work. Finishing up stuff so I could start my first semester at college in January. So everything's just been smooth, just getting what I need to get done.
you? Yeah, I hear you. I've been kind of getting myself back in the swing of things. More so than anything, getting my body kind of in the swing of things. You know, uh, I've been out of work the last little bit. Handling some shit. And getting used to just being on my feet as much as I am normally throughout the day.
Mhm.
Putting that strain back on the knees and back, and hopefully getting some of these pounds to shed back off as I pack on a little bit of weight in the meantime. Girls
Mhm.
been kind of cracking jokes on me, having a little fun, rubbing my belly like I'm a Buddha fountain or something. So, you know, I gotta get that shit knocked out. But and since last time we talked, I've had a couple of interviews on on the Frank analysis, so that's good. And, I talked to him actually about him possibly being our guest and coming on and chopping it up. I was telling him, I said, what we do in the political matrix, that's one thing, but over here we got like a whole another like.
Yeah, there's more of a free range.
Well, also on top of the free range, though, we just talking about some other different topics that we normally don't get to get into. When we're dealing
Mhm.
with politics primarily and world events and all that. There's so much actual crazy shit that's going on, kind of in just social media and in pop culture as a whole, and like the worlds of politics and all that stuff are starting to fuse together in so many different ways. And
Everything is political. I made a tweet.
everything is
I
political.
made a tweet the other day, and I said kids can't be kids, and I really feel that way because I'm only 19 years old, but I feel like I was so much younger, so much longer
Or
ago,
not that long ago, yeah.
even though it really wasn't that long ago.
Hmm.
But just so much things have gone on and changed on this world that it's like time just flows by and you're subjected to so many different things because you see it on the internet. Meanwhile, you've never seen anything in your real life, but you felt like you have. So now
That's
you gotta be
interesting
this
that you
way.
said that.
And
That's
then
interesting that you said that, so I can, lead the audience to one of the topics we're going to get into, talking about the metaverse. But sorry, going ahead.
but another thing I was saying was that now it used to be, you could make fun of at school, you could make fun of kids, right? Oh, that's why your mom is this, or your mom a joke. So just stupid stuff you do as kids. We're always just making fun of each other. Or
Mhm.
if you're mixed matching brains, oh, that's whack. But
Mhm.
now it's like oh, you're picking on poor black kids from bad areas, and oh, well, you don't know what that kid has going on. He has a mental issue, and it's like kids are being kids. Now they gotta worry about if they make a joke, they're offending someone's race, religion, sexuality, and it's like we're just joking around at the lunch table. We're gonna forget this next month.
Yeah, well, shit, not even next month. You guys will probably forget it by the end of the day. I mean, I know how it was when I was in school.
But
I
that's what
mean,
I'm saying. Everybody gets roasted on. So the kids, now you're telling 11, 10, 12, 13-year-old kids they have to worry about how it's going to affect society. What do you think's going to happen to them? A bunch of kids trying to be adults that are not adults.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going ahead and officially start the show. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is Talk of the Ages. I'm your host, Marcus Cage, along with my co-host and friend Jalen Lawson here, representing the left side of the corner while I try to represent the right side of the corner, and we try to bring that shit together like two wings flapping. So, the topics that we got some very interesting topics to talk about. One of them, kind of a sad topic. You know, it's no real way to look at it. In my opinion, there's not really an actual bad guy in it, so it makes it even harder for a lot of people. Even though society is going to make somebody a bad guy, that I'm talking about, of course, the Travis Scott concert, Astro World. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're also going to talk about Kanye West, or Ye, or Yeezy, or Yeezus, or whatever y'all like to call this man, and his interview that he had on. Jalen will have to remind me what the name of the podcast
Uh,
is.
Drink champs.
Drink Champs. That's what it is.
When
Um,
no,
I'm familiar. I remember my boy Nori.
yeah,
We
shout out to
got to know.
Queens. Shout out to Queens.
Yeah.
I know.
And then we're going to talk about what else. We got the metaverse on the plate to talk about. Also, we're going to talk about, well, Jalen brought up the topic, Black Lives Matter. So we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. More or less, I'm guessing the organization. And so we'll kind of go from there. I wanted to bring up critical race theory because it's been batted around so much lately, especially with the Virginia governor's election. So I want to talk about that, and I guess it'll kind of segue into a little bit about politics, but we're going to kind of keep, our element and not get into talking about the wonky back and forth of politics. Um, and then got the feeling we're missing something else. Wasn't there something else that you had that you wanted to bring up?
There's a few things, but we're gonna save that for the flow of the show.
Okay. So I guess let's see. Since I feel like there's time to go with that, you know what? Let's go ahead and start off. Let's go with the Black Lives Matter topic first. Mm.
You want me to start, or do you want to go?
Oh, yes. All you, sir. Let's let you open this up.
Well, I mean, we heard it. It came around that term. I remember first hearing that term like 2014, 2015. And it used to be more of a thing like, all right, Black Lives Matter. You put your fist up like the Black Panthers. The NBA players wear it on their jersey. They were told to take it off, blase, blase. But then, relative to the last 2 years or so, two and a half, Black Lives Matter turned into they make gibbets on Crocs. I don't know if you ever heard of the shoe, right? You ever heard of the shoe called Crocs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, keep going. I'm gonna pop out real quick. I forgot to put us in a couple into my Discord server. Get some of our other friends and colleagues so they'll have alerts on it. But keep going on that on Black Lives Matter, and I'll be right back.
Well, they put it on. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the shoes like Crocs, but they're super popular, especially down here in Florida. I think just all over the U.S. But they have them as gibbets, slogans, and video games. You can get them as an emote, or for those who don't know what an emote is, just a song or maybe something that a character will do. And all of a sudden, it's like a marketing scheme when it's supposed to be about Black lives, and those lives don't matter. As you saw on the screen, they were easily disposable. But my biggest issue with Black Lives Matter is the simple fact that it's not even meant to be about the Black lives. It's being used to make other people money because there's no way if it was something that stood for something or a saying that we should be using, like even the term woke to bring up, for example. Woke used to be a common term used between young black kids. And now woke is turned into anything that you believe outside the box is you're crazy. You could talk to an elderly person about something maybe you researched, and oh, so you're like one of those woke kids of the woke generation, right? If it's like you get made fun of or crazy for thinking outside the lines, and that's how it kind of that's how it kind of feels with Black Lives Matter. Let's see. Sorry, guys. It's my first time ever solo, so a little bit of nerves. But back into the topic. But like I was saying with Black Lives Matter, another thing, if I'm not mistaken, I think some Democratic funded group was getting paid off of the term Black Lives Matter. If I'm not mistaken, that also used to raise my eyebrows back then. Marcus, we can't hear you. I think he left the chat. Oh, okay. We couldn't hear you for a second. Hey, Marcus, I can't hear you. Um, um,
All right, sound check one more time. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
All right, there we go. I don't know what happened. That was weird. Like I couldn't hear you at first. I could
I
see you were
know,
talking plainly, and then I couldn't, hear anything. So
I know.
cool.
I froze up a little bit, and then I tried to go. I was trying to go into the comment section, interact with the crowd to save myself, and then you came back, and then I couldn't hear you, and I was like, oh. It's all good though. We're here. We're gonna thrive. We still got a lot
so
of time. A
so
lot.
when I left off, you were talking about Crocs. That was the last thing I heard.
Okay, so I was saying how it was the term Black Lives Matter, and to me it always seemed funny if it was something that was really genuine. How you gonna advertise it as a gibbet on a shoe? And
Well,
then another thing, it became All Lives Matter, and then it was Blue Lives Matter. I remember the last summer of COVID, I was working at a pizzeria. I'm going for the afternoon shift, so it's like 12. But if you ever live in Florida, or just in the southern state, you already know it gets super hot down here in the
Mhm.
summertime, especially like mid to late July, early August. It's blazing around that time. So I'm on my way to work, and I'm stopping at a light in front of a shopping mall. And mind you, I don't live in a redneck area. I live in a majority Hispanic. Sometimes you just gotta riff and talk. I know. I know.
Don't worry, I'm gonna season him up. I'm gonna get him ready to just be able to go on the fly. You know, a lot of people think it's easy, but it's not as easy as they think, is it, Jay?
Nah. I, I,
And
I those.
and I'll give you guys a little hint that you guys did probably not. Some know this, some didn't know this, but sometimes literally I would get on completely cold, have no topics in mind, or just like have a couple of topics, and I was expecting for a couple other people to join me. They have their topics, then I bring up my topics. They talk about, we going back and forth with my topics, then they bring up theirs, and we go back and forth, and that would normally build on a show. But when I was doing my panels, there would be some times where it just would be me, and I'm expecting four people, and so I just have to like start making this shit up on the fly and be able to build that out. So I'd be like, all right, I'll go for like say another 30 minutes or whatever, and it was Brandon Buchanan. If you guys are familiar with Brandon, shout out to him out there. Brandon, plenty of times would just hop in and say, "Yeah, I know you're in there struggling, so let me hop in there, give you somebody to talk to, let this conversation go back and forth." Because especially like when you don't have a lot of people in the chat at the time, it can be a little bit like, I'm kind of just talking to myself. And so that's
Mhm.
one of the things you have to like be able to have that conversation is if you're talking to like a ton of people. And sometimes how I keep that in mind is I just think, well, I'm having this conversation with for people who will see this later on. So even if it's one or two people or it goes down to zero, this video, I imagine it to stay up for for a good amount of time. So maybe if it's not somebody a couple of days from now, a week from now, a month from now, it can maybe be 6, 7 months from now where I'm having a conversation and talking about these issues with them down the road. So it is something to definitely work on. All of us are not as great as my boy Tender Lungs, aka Skylar, out there. Shout out to your brother. Hope all's well. And tell everybody I said what's up in the voice chat. Oh yeah. By the way, tell me what you guys are talking about. We might bring up a little bit of you guys' conversation too. We can add it into the chat. Um, but I guess my little 10 cents on the whole Black Lives Matter thing was I remember being a part of kind of like the Black Lives Matter movement before there was actually a Black Lives Matter movement. Um, I remember Amadou Diallo back in the day, got shot 41 times. I'm sure Jalen knows about the story up in New York. Um,
Yeah. I heard it. Is it bad? I heard that in a rap song.
I
It was,
mean,
I think it
but
was
here's the thing. But here's the thing. That's the only way. A lot of times, some of these stories got attention was through
well,
rappers.
the way I think I heard it. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody in the crowd who knows, but I think it was on the Rockefeller freestyle on Funk Flex, and Memphis Bleak said, "Give you 41 like Amadou Di or something."
Hmm.
Abner Louima.
Hmm.
See, my pops probably knows.
Oh, of course, man. Trust me. All this stuff that we talk about, he definitely knows this stuff.
And he
Um,
knows the freestyle I'm talking about.
and then eventually down the road, I do want to have him as a guest. We can put him on the hot seat, drill him for a change. Uh, he's interviewed me a couple of times, and I realized I think I did interview Chris only once. And the funny thing about it is, it was what I call a double header interview because I was like, I know I interviewed this one person, but I couldn't remember Harvey K. For those who are out there in the politics, you guys might know who Harvey K is, might not know who Harvey K is. But I remember, Mike, oh, I had this interview. Well, how sometimes if you don't put an image up for a video, it'll just clip an image at a certain time. Well, it has the image of Chris, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, shame on you. My co-host on the Political Matrix, talking about Cy Lawson. Um, it has me and Chris there talking, and so it's easy for it to blend in because shortly after that we were doing shows together. So it's hard to tell that that was the interview versus just a normal panel session because Chris goes back to when I was doing the young black leaders panels, where
Yeah.
I would have him on there also. So we were doing that before we even started doing the political matrix, and so that interview it does have Harvey K in there also. But that has Harvey K and then it's Chris right after it. So you know that's what. So let's see. He said Amo Diallo hit 19 times, shot at 41 times. Yeah, Tenderloins. Ooh, they talking NFTs are just about money
Oh,
laundering. Well,
actually,
we're gonna get into NFTs.
yes, because I've been seeing that all over. All these rappers keep buying NFTs.
Well, NFTs and all that stuff is gonna tie into
Oh,
the
and one
metaverse
more
stuff.
thing,
And
Law, Law,
so,
did you get what I said with the Memphis Bleak line and the Rockefeller freestyle on Funk Flex? Okay, yep. He knows what we're talking about.
hmm
But
I was gonna say, yeah. And so for me, when I was most kind of the last time I really remember when I felt like it was the last time where the Black Lives Matter was kind of still legitimate was when we go back to like Trayvon Martin
that's
and
when I was.
George Davis. Because I was in Florida at the time for both of those, and my cousin lived across right across the I-4 corridor area. She lived out in at the time she was living in Brandon, I believe. I was living in Jacksonville. And so the Jordan Davis situation literally happened at like it happened at a gate gas station like right down the street from my house, like maybe 10 minutes from where I was staying. So it was definitely like, something that was big news. And what Black Lives Matter is kind of turned to from there. Now I know you mentioned how it was the All Lives Matter, and that's because once the Black Lives Matter thing started to peak up and started to get more steam, those movements always get hijacked. And what happened is you start having all the woke liberals start getting in and want to push the Black Lives Matter thing. And then you had the conservatives, they had to throw their shit from the other side and say all lives matter. And what they didn't get, and some of this is a little bit racist, I think, from that side. Some of this because some of them motherfuckers just ain't that sharp. They don't realize when you're saying Black Lives Matter, we're not saying your life doesn't matter. Also, we're saying the treatment that we're getting in society, we're getting the treatment as if Black lives do not matter. So we have to say they matter because we're not being shown that they do matter. But some conservatives, they're a little bit slow. So some of all lives matter. And it's like, no, dumbass, we're not saying your life don't matter. And some of them were just being fucking dicks. So then you had the Blue Lives Matter, where cops, that was the actual pushback
Oh,
against the Black
Marcus.
Lives Matter because most of these shootings were happening from cops.
Sorry to cut you off, but now that you mentioned Blue Lives Matter, so I was telling the story. I was on my way to work. Remember, it was very hot. So I stopped at the light, and I was saying that I live. It was by a mall, and I don't live in a redneck area. I live in a mostly upper middle class Hispanic, a few Black Americans, just a mix of it's just a mix of everything basically. So these dudes are in leather jackets flying Confederate flags and Blue Lives Matter flags, and they're having a rally in the middle of a mall parking lot. And that day was 103 degrees. And I looked out the window And I'm like, you guys are gonna die of heat stroke, and I get so off. And I'm just like, not only is the term stupid, you people are outside about to catch heat stroke for what?
Hmm.
Just to show you don't like black people? Is that all?
Well, you got to remember down there in Florida, even because even the whole Trayvon Martin thing, that was in a suburban area that wasn't,
I remember
wasn't
it was in Sanford, I believe,
yeah,
right?
it was in Sanford, and it was in a nicer area in Sanford.
I've
I'm
been
not saying like they were millionaires or nothing like that, but it was definitely what you would call a strong middle class to upper middle class area.
I've worked in that city before. And the people were very racist.
Well, you run into that a lot in Florida, which a lot of people don't realize. There's still a lot of racism going on throughout this country. Um, but what's happened with Black Lives Matter? That's a little background history on Black Lives Matter, and now where we are today with Black Lives Matter. What I see honestly is an organization, especially after the George Floyd thing, it got completely 100% politicized and corporatized. And once it got corporatized, that's when the Soros money started coming in. That's when it started becoming about, well, we need to make this Black Lives Matter more inclusive somehow. And so then it started being Black Lives Matter and Black Trans Lives Matter. And it's like, whoa,
Literally. Black anorexic anaerobic or like what?
well, the thing about it is, I'm not saying that violence against anybody you shouldn't have an advocate, but we're literally talking about, I mean, countless numbers of black people who are being killed by police officers and not receiving justice. And you're bringing up, at the time I remember last year, was it like four black trans deaths in the whole United States? And it's like, wow, they are getting far more attention than all of these other people in the black so-called Black Lives Matter community who are not getting that same respect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, my mindset, good Lord, that's loud.
Oh,
My mindset,
sorry. It's the MacBook. You see what Apple's ecosystem, it has to connect every single thing to everything. So if I get it, my phone's on vibrate right now. But to turn up the volume to hear you, it pings any text message I get.
oh wow, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I know. It's Apple. They want all your information on everything so they can steal it from you.
Yes, Black Lives
You know
Matter is
okay,
on Act Blue donation platform. Yeah,
I
because
knew
it's a money making tool.
I knew I was right.
He
Maybe
said, turn sound off. Yes, it is completely a DNC
these
organization. And that's
organizations.
why. And the thing about it is, the whole point for Black Lives Matter, what they were trying to do is they were trying to get legislators. Sorry, they were trying to get legislators. I want to put that up. DNC organization. They were trying to get legislators in the DNC to actually do something as far as legislation, not just talk about it and paint some streets and let's have workshops. That's not what the point of that was supposed to be. The point of it was for you guys to actually start cracking down on things so we can actually start getting more accountability on some of these issues which we're not getting accountability on. Um, you have anything else you'd like to add on to that one? As far as Black Lives Matter, like some of your viewpoints on what's going on with it now?
I just hate how it's just I it, I don't want to say it directly, but I just hate how it's in the power of other hands that have nothing to do with it. Now it's as a sign as being accepting. When I don't want your
Well,
acceptance. I don't want your
why you say that? And I'm gonna leave it on those who have ears to hear to be able to pick through this. What I'm saying, and for those who don't, to go do the research into some of these organizations, and you'll see what I mean. Black Lives Matter, like the other was saying, is in the hands of other issues. It's in the hands of other people who are guiding the decisions of it. Just like if you go look back to the NAACP, just like if you go and look back to the Southern Poverty Law Center, just like if you honestly go back to the foundation of most of the black universities and black colleges. It's somebody else whose money has been pushing all of these things. I'm not sure if I said NAACP or not, but if I didn't, I'd fucking say it again. It is not in the hands of black people, and it is being controlled by non-black people. And so the objectives and agenda is not a black-focused agenda. Kind of like King said, you know, about the white liberal, how they're more happy with peace and everything being calm than actual justice. And that's what you're getting with a lot of these organizations. Yes, okay, we recognize your pain and
You
your
know,
issue. Then what are you going to do to fix it? Well, I mean, we can try.
we'll, we'll lock
That's when
up,
they get. That's when
we'll
they
lock
get further.
up one. We'll lock up one cop every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Send him to nice jail. You
That's
know,
when it gets further.
Malcolm X told us about the white liberal. He said those are the biggest ones you got to be afraid of because they're gonna pretend to be your friend.
Both said it. Both said it.
They will.
Thomas, my brother, shout out to you.
Black Lives
Thomas said, you're going to read it.
Black Lives Matter had some success in publishing half-measured police reform in a dozen cities in some states, but failed at the federal level. It was a good movement for the most part, but the BLM creators pocketed. Exactly. How is that about me when you stuff in your own pockets?
Exactly. That is exactly what we're talking about.
You're getting rich off a turn.
Well, and then you look at all the investors and stuff like that. Well, another reason why I notice, I'm not saying I'm the only person who's noticed this. A lot of other people noticed this and brought this to my attention first. But if you look at majority of the people who have made themselves the organizers and the founders of it, most of their agenda and what they spend more time fighting on is LGBTQ issues anyway. So how are you focused on Black Lives Matter if you're focused mainly on all these other issues? I mean, I don't understand how that works. Well, I guess while we're on that, I guess that's a good segue into talking about critical race theory because a lot of politicians after this race in Virginia have made it all basically on the right. They say, oh, well, well, some of the people say it was because the left is trying to push critical race theory. If the Democrats who want to explain away the laws, they're blaming on, oh, we went too far to the left with all this critical race theory. And so, first, before we even get into critical race theory, let's just say that neither one of them were accurate. Were there people on the right who had issues with critical race theory? Yes. How much it actually impacted the race? Very, very nil. And it's the same thing on the left. Were there some people who wanted to push for critical race theory? Yes. But how much did it actually impact the race? Very, very little. What it actually, and a lot of these like MSNBC and CNN liberals, they put it on the fact of anybody who made the schools one of their major issues. Anybody who was talking about schools, it was because of critical race theory. Now, what people don't talk about is Virginia schools were shut down the longest of damn near any state. If I'm not mistaken, some of the schools are still shut down and just opening back up. A lot of parents had to sit at home and actually start being focused on their kids' education. And so once you tell the parents, oh, well, now it's your responsibility to do this, now it's your responsibility to do that. And the governor comes out and says, basically, parents, what you think about education really don't matter. We got this. I don't even have kids, and I'd be pissed the fuck off. If you as a bureaucrat are going to tell me what I think about my kids' education doesn't matter and just leave it to you as the governor and bureaucrats. So, I mean, that's kind of my take on how I saw it. I don't feel critical race theory made a huge impact on it. But why I wanted to talk about it is I wanted to ask Jalen this question. And I guess this is kind of one of those, what do they call it? When you ask the question and you kind of already have your own answer. Um, I want to know from Jalen, why do you think the Democrats in particular are so focused on making critical race theory the scapegoat for why they lost?
So they could just have something to blame it on, like they always do.
That's all?
Um, well, I see what you're getting at, and I see the look on your face. So I know I get what you're saying, but to keep it PG for the YouTube ops, that's what we're gonna call them, the YouTube ops. Um, let's just say they just want something to blame it on, like they always do when they
Well,
lose.
guess what? What I was alluding to is, yeah, that is true. I agree. But what I would say more in particular is some of those suburbanite liberal ones don't really even really they honestly I believe have more of an issue with teaching critical race theory than those right wingers who actually complain about it. The difference is because they know, well, they're going to start looking at me a little bit too. They're not just because they know we're not just going to be looking at the right wingers. We're going to be looking at some of those liberals who have the ability to fix some of these things, who are not fixing them, as
Mm.
also part to blame for some of these things. And so, why go into critical race theory and then start focus on why some of these people have some of the head starts and white privilege that they actually have?
You know, Marcus, it's like they're mad. They're getting rid of their windows and trying to give them mirrors because they can look out their window and talk about the right side all day, but they will never
Mhm.
get a mirror and look at themselves. And whenever they get a chance to just get exposed, or not even get exposed, just seen for what they really are, we can't have that. And
Well,
the Democrats, they will go and handle it. They show that if there's a problem within their organization, it will be handled.
well, my thing is they want to be able to also want to be able to put everything on race. They don't want to be able to look at the fact that they haven't delivered on hardly any of their damn promises to anybody. All both parties do at this point is the right. They focus on, you know, I guess what we were saying, more white cultural grievance.
Hmm.
The left focuses on minority groups' cultural grievance, while both sides are keeping their hands in your pockets and telling you to fuck off. That's honestly what I see going on.
And the
And so
worst part
they can
is,
yeah.
the worst part is, it's not even like they're just doing it to black people. They're doing it to everyone who lives here. It doesn't matter. Your skin color doesn't matter.
Well, that's
Obviously.
what I'm saying. It's more of an economic issue
Mm.
at this point, and they're trying to put everything as far as a racial issue. Now, am I saying that race is not a factor and some of these other things? I'm not
No.
saying that, but I'm saying that they're not what the major problem is. The major problem here is both sides are complaining about economics. And what they're trying to do is find a way to somehow make everything revert back to race. The Democrats will say, well, I mean, we can't get you higher minimum wage rates, but hey, we got the first black whatever, or the first Latino whatever, or the first Native American whatever, and try to focus on, you know, those types of issues. Oh well,
You know,
maybe we can do a Dreamers Act, and then on the right they put everything on. Well, see, they're trying to put all this CRT stuff in, so now they can make the blacks hate you,
you
and it's not even that. Uh,
what's funny, Marcus? All the distractions they create just alludes to the simple fact, like people can't afford housing. And it doesn't matter what color you are. You could be white, black, unless you have a great job or came into some money or maybe inherited. It's hard out here, and that's the underlying problem. Doesn't matter what race. That's one underlying problem we have as a society here in the U.S. We can't afford nothing.
Hmm. And so focus on cultural grievances. Focus more on LGBTQ issues. Oh, well, they're persecuting you because I'm this or that, or if they're persecuting me only because I'm black, or they're persecuting me because I don't have a college degree, or and that's what it is. It's splintering everybody off into all of these different cultural
Mm,
grievance groups. So you don't notice that you're all getting screwed over economically. And that's what the whole thing is. It's more of a class discussion versus race at this point. Um,
mm-hmm.
and speaking of that, I guess that can and this is the reason why I honestly feel like maybe not the way whoever that lady is who teaches it. Oh yeah, this is right here a fact. Critical race theory isn't even taught in schools, lol. Yet the far right is tripping. The anti-critical race theory crew don't even know what it means, while the elites use it to divide. Focus on economic reform and real history. Exactly. Couldn't have been said better. See, my thinking is even for the most, even for the worst parts of it and the more painful, uncomfortable parts of it, what you teach is it's not about teaching you to I put it this way: if I was teaching somebody, it's not about teaching you need to hate these white people because of this or that. It's if you understand the circumstances of how we got to where we are as a society now, then maybe you might have a more nuanced approach on how to fix some of these things. You won't have as many conservatives that feel like, well, I mean, I had both my parents in the household, and I don't get why you just can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, if
Mm-hmm.
you know more about redlining, if you know more about the deficiencies in the educational system, if you know more about when you go into a bank and how people are affected in those ways, then you can actually start looking at the differences and start saying, well, this isn't about attacking me as a white male. I'm speaking as a white male for the moment. Hopefully you guys won't beat me up for trying to stick up. I guess speak as a white male. And for anybody who's a white male and you like to come and speak on this more eloquently, I invite you to join us. But I look at it like this: if you're able to understand what each person is going through, you can help them get through it better. You can help fix things. If you like those hardcore Republicans who want to just sweep it under the rug and don't talk about it, what that leads to is I feel like less compassion and understanding why we have some of these, knocks in the system. I'm not saying every white male is responsible for Reagan pumping drugs into black and brown communities. But the fact of the matter is, it happened, and so we have to deal with it. It's kind of like if a teenager gets knocked up, the kid is there now. You got to just deal with the kid. You can't sit there and argue about how the kid got here. The kid is here, and
Yeah,
it's the
you
same thing.
can go back now.
It's the same thing with all of these circumstances. The shit is the way it is now. We just have to address it. You can't sit there and do all the blame game. It's kind of like with your team, Jalen. If you guys drop a game, it's about how to figure out how do we win the next game. It's not about sitting up there and arguing over and over and over about who
No,
fucked up the game.
you get in film, you figured out why you lost, you go and practice the reason why you lost, and then you game plan for the next, and then you don't do what you did to make you lose last game.
It's that simple. So I guess you know I think we got out some of our thoughts and some of the things I've been wanting to say about critical race theory. Hopefully this triculates out to people on the right, and I am working on having an interview with a pretty large channel. God willing. Um, and if I have that, trust me, I'm not going to pull any of my punches. I'm going to be as direct, and I'm going to try to be fair, like you guys. Hopefully, you guys believe I'm fair or see me as fair. But I'm going to try to explain some of these things because I feel if we can explain these things out, we can bridge some of the gaps and some of the problems we have between some of these different communities. But this next topic, I'm going to let Jalen kind of let us roll into it. I figure we're going to go on ahead and talk about Kanye West.
Uh,
I just my to I guess open it up a little bit. I heard two parts from a couple of channels which I really listen to a lot, and then breaking down mostly these two areas. Then another channel I watched, which I sent Jalen, where he went into like
20 things. I think it was things you can
10,
learn.
10 or 11, 10 or
Black
11
people,
things.
yeah, 10 or 11 things black people can learn from Kanye, and it was a 20-minute video.
Yeah, and so about 20 to 25 minute video, and I'll be honest, he drops some information in there where if you know this information already, you'll be like, okay, he's talking some real shit there. But if you don't know any of the stuff he's talking about, because he does fumble some of the shit around, like for instance, he says Margaret Sanger came up with Plan B, which Plan B, that drug just came out not that long ago. What he actually meant to say was Margaret Sanger came up with Planned Parenthood. But I knew what he was trying to say, so I was able to kind of decipher some of what he was
But
saying.
you know,
But the most he just sound crazy, and that haircut did not help. So, Jalen, I'll hand it off to you.
well, let's just. There's a lot to dive in with, but just to start off with him dissing Big Sean, I just want to get that out the way. You won't believe this. He took out a headstone, a gravestone that said R.I.P. He said the worst thing I ever did was sign Big Sean. And then the next day, Big Sean had a picture with him and was saying, "Yo, you was just with me after the podcast."
So the same kind of theatrics, which I heard him talk about in the interview, was some of the same kind of theatrics he was putting on during the interview, apparently.
hmm But one thing I noticed in the interview is he did have smoke for the publicists and media ears, like this country would ever allow the educational system to tell the truth. Exactly. I remember
Um,
schools went from we loved Christopher Columbus by the time I was my last year. Do we hate Columbus? Just look
well,
how much that
in
changed.
all honesty, I've always hated Columbus.
But
When I was in school, I, I don't know who's all seen this movie. If you've seen it, please drop it in the chat. Let me know that you saw it. It's a movie called 1492. Um, I watched this movie when I was like in seventh grade, I think. So seventh grade was, let's just say, more than 20 years ago. Um, I saw this movie, that period of time ago, and it just blew my mind
so
what the hell was actually what it talked about in there. And
so
I
is it
never,
did this movie
I
come
don't
out
know,
in 93, 94?
something like that.
Mm.
Yeah. At the star, I think his name is Gerard, something, Gerard something. I can't remember. He's a French guy who plays the part. But what he says in there is just, ah, yeah. I mean, well, it's not even what he says. It's just what you see that was going on. And you got to remember, this is completely watered down version of what was really going on. Because shortly after that, that led me to look into Christopher Columbus diaries. When I read his diaries, I read a lot of disturbing shit. So
Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, if you never heard of him.
I
Nothing
mean,
more.
and then there's also something which I heard, which I glanced over completely, which it came back around full circle to me hearing it maybe about a year to 2 years ago. I was like, whoa, they put this in the movie. I can't believe that's in the movie. But
Mm.
well, for those who know, this is talking about stuff. He threw some biblical stuff in there.
I don't know if you noticed, but did you see when Kanye said, even when I do a song with people or I make a beat or I produce, I'm like the Moses of the song. And it's
Yeah,
funny.
I heard him say a comment about. I'm like, Kanye, you
It's
could never be a Moses guiding me anywhere.
But listen. Everybody's just freaking out on the fact that he says Moses. I'm thinking, I know why you call yourself Moses, cause you say, all right, bet you did the beats for the song, cool. You wrote the lyrics, all right. I own the song. You get 10%. There we go. That's why I'm Moses, cause at the end of the day, I'm cashing in all the checks, all the producer writing credits are in my name. You get 10% of the royalties, and that's how he got to the top. I mean, that's what I pulled from it. I mean, you could get something else, but why else would you call yourself Moses if you're not ripping people off?
Well, some people do believe that, like, they believe there's no way that Moses wrote all 5 books of the Bible, all 5 books of the Torah. You know, first 5 books of the Bible. For those who don't know what we're talking about, that would be Genesis, Exodus, um, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Um, those are, but some scholars have argued there's no way he could have written all the books. So I can get how they could use that as kind of like he gets all the credit for work that he allegedly didn't do. So I mean, I guess I can see where that tie would be, but I just look at Moses led his people. The most important thing Moses did that he was known for is leading his people out of captivity. I don't see Kanye leading nobody out of nowhere. I mean, you
Leading
in
them,
the interview he talks about being worth 8 or 9 billion, but yet you got all this poverty in the hood and you can't kick no money back.
but you want us to join the Donda basketball team.
And he can donda these nuts. That's what I think. I mean,
Facts.
um, and I think I brought this up last time I talked about Kanye. It's a song. You know what? You got your phone there. Pull this up. At least I know this artist. He would not care if we played this song, so I know we won't get no copyright for this one. Look up. It's called Koonye West.
Koonye?
Koonye West.
Koonye. Okay.
Yes, and it's kind of funny because and it'll probably say the Deacon, the song by the Deacon.
It says Kanye sacrificed his mom.
No, 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 not that one, not that one. But because I've looked up a lot of that stuff, Kanye has a lot of like weird shit. Look up the Deacon, or probably try the Deacon first and Koonye West, because he literally spells it Koonye.
Is it Koonye Dis Get Out?
Yes. You know what? Let's do a little premiere, little shout out to the Deacon. You know what? Let's go ahead. I'm put this. I'm gonna go grab me some coffee real quick. But yeah, go ahead and play that for him so you guys can hear. This is how I feel about Kanye. So you hear the teacups?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think of this.
Calls him Koonye with a K. It sounds like Damian Lillard.
Nigga must have smoked up a whole quarter piece. 1441, we was kidnapped by the Portuguese. When I hear the words make America great again, all it means is make blacks and Latino slaves again. You said Bush don't care about black people. When it comes to cooning, you're a Berkeley and Shaq's equal. You was the realest spitter ripping the beat up. Now you in a sunken place, spoon clicking a teacup. Yeah, learning you're a slave, mom turning in her grave. Lyrical sermon on the page, just burning off the main.
Okay, I think that's a good stopping. I can't believe he said you should have got liposuction. You should have jogged off the weight. That's the Kardashians. That's the Kardashians, because I never heard no man like I'm getting surgeries. Now Kanye was like, I was insecure because I was fat, so I got a liposuction. That sounds like some real Kardashian mess.
Yo, Jalen, I guess it's the first time that they doing it to you. They messing with your audio. Been perfectly fine this whole time. And as the song kept playing, you start sounding robotic.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. They try to cancel me.
They don't want people to hear that song. They really don't want people hearing that song. Because that song, he says a lot of shit in there, the deacon. In fact, when I re-upload this, or not when I re-upload this, when I go back and edit this afterwards, I'm gonna put that song in the description,
Description box.
so y'all can peep this song out, because I already know I can't put it in the chat. They're gonna make sure to block that comment. But like some of the stuff you heard, what he said in there. 1441, we was kidnapped by the Portuguese.
Portuguese.
He's about to say some stuff in there, and he's talking about your mom's casket drop when you got with that ratchet thought. He's talking about him getting with Kim
Amber
Kardashian.
Rose. No, Amber Rose.
No, he's talking about Kim.
Oh, he got with Kim after the moms had passed away.
Oh, well, maybe he was talking about her, but
I don't know. Kanye likes sluts. That's what it seems like. Because I remember when I was younger, he was licking her head on the VMA.
yeah, I mean, he goes into a lot. Probably, you know what they probably didn't like that part when it talks about what did it say? America's going to get destroyed by I forgot the line which he says in
I
there.
don't know. That guy's weird because one minute he's like, "Oh, women," then he's like, "I have a porn addiction."
Yeah, that's what he said in the interview. I have two addictions, and one was alcohol and finding my daddy's but Playboy or something.
Yeah, and it's
So,
like, so
but
now
another
you're.
thing I noticed is that's the first time in that interview I ever really even heard him talk about his father. I don't never hear this dude mention his father at all.
No, he talked about his father a lot in the interview.
That's what I'm saying in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I always know about his mom.
But
I
no,
hardly ever heard about his dad.
he mentioned
I
his
thought his dad was probably dead or something, or he wasn't in contact with him.
No, he mentions his dad in a few of his songs.
It must have been just recently, because I know I had like his first 3 albums.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear his dad at all. Not mentioned.
On his song on Champion on Graduation, he said I think he said what about his pops. He said, I don't know what he did for dope, but he sent me back to school in a new wardrobe. But hey,
Yep. It's the first time it's happened to Jay, so he's in the club now. Well, it's my fault technically because I told him to do it. But it said YouTube censoring Chris comments and and making Jay sound robotic at times. Do you all got a target on your back? Yeah. I know we got a target on our back. And what makes me wonder is, think about it. This is a channel that you could say it's some of that, but you got to remember, this is a channel that has roughly 230 subscribers, plus or minus 230 subscribers. Here's something also which a lot of people don't notice. I see some other channels maybe have 1,000 subscribers, 2,000, 3,000 subscribers. But when you think of the percentage of their subs, which watch almost every one of their videos, is somewhere around 10%, 15%. What we have percentage wise, our numbers might not be as high as others, but we have something like that 60, 70, 80% of our subs watching our content. And what they're doing is they're making sure we do not get the most of our message out. Why? What are we saying that's so dangerous? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't know. Do I look like a mind reader, sir? I don't know.
But I mean, think about it. Why is that so? In fact, I'm not sure if it did it for you what it used to do when I would click that song. Did it have a warning on the song?
199 Problems?
No. That Koonye song.
No, it didn't have a warning.
Well, it used to literally have. Was it the one with the video?
No, it was just the lyrics.
Well, the one that I had, because they took down the original. That was on the Deacon's page. Actually, they took his whole channel down. Yeah, he's popped up a couple more. Oh well, some of it I'll say that some of it is the Deacon's fault. Um, some of his comments, um, not even comments. It's like when he's reading, because for those who don't know, he is a Hebrew Israelite. If you're not familiar with Hebrew Israelites, hit me up, in the DM. I can go into it for you, or you can just look it up on your own. But he's a Hebrew Israelite, and sometimes he's very, very unsensitive. We'll say that, and some of his verbiage and language, and he's not. I put it this way: just one angle. You know how typically most Bible people have a problem with homosexuality. He's one of those people who vociferously, displays that message and actually uses the terms which are the no-no terms and says them with no compunction. So,
Wow.
yeah, he'll straight up call people the F word to their face.
Mm.
Yeah, so he says some, and he'll tell you, he'll say, you know what? And they'll be like, you're racist. He'll be like, I know I am. So he's not going to hide from it if you call him that. And if you call him homophobic, he'll tell you, no, I'm not scared of those people. I'll put it because he would say something different, a little bit more aggressively.
Well, since we were talking about Kanye,
Hmm.
you said he's the Moses. We see who he's leading. Um, Let me see if I can show you a picture.
I say
Uh,
he's leading. He's leading a generation of mental health. That's what he's leading.
Here's Kid Cudi. If you can't really see,
What the? Is he wearing a dress?
yes, a wedding dress. Let me see if I can pull up a better picture for everybody.
Um,
Wait one second.
I'm gonna self censor myself on that one. Because I don't want to get us in trouble.
Yeah, facts.
I'll, I'll put it this way: I do not support men wearing dresses. Oh wow, that's like some like Pretty in Pink, like Punky Brewster type. No, that's not where it is. That's not where it's at. No,
He
that's
looks
not
like,
where it's at.
and some white woman on Twitter retweeted it and said the humiliation of black men in Hollywood always happens. And some black woman wanted to argue with her and throw around Black Lives Matter. Like, you just mad that what she said was true and she was white, not that
Well,
it
Dave
was true.
Chappelle. Don't you remember Dave Chappelle? I think in Sticks and Stones, he made a comment about it, like they were trying to get him to wear a dress in some movie, and really having a big issue with the fact that he would not wear a dress. And he's
Mm.
like, "Well, why do I need to wear a dress in this scene?" And it's funny that I look at it. A lot of major black stars who have made it into big movies. Why is it damn near all of them had to wear a dress at some point in time? I don't see this with white actors, but for some reason the black actors. I mean,
Look at Tyler Perry.
You got Tyler Perry,
He had a
you got
career of dressing
Eddie
up.
Murphy, you got Martin Lawrence, Wesley Snipes. Obviously there's Kid Cudi there. I've seen what's his name? Now granted he was already big doing this, but Sean Combs. I've seen him do it. I've seen Brandon T. Jackson. I've seen him do it. I mean, just keep going down the list. Why is it black men just have to be in a dress in movies, and that has to be why is I don't get well. I have my own theories. I won't go into it, but I have my own theories why this is being so prevalent and pushed. Because it'd be one thing if most of these men who they were already in the LGBTQ community and this is their thing, but why is there a push to get straight men to wear dresses? That somebody needs to explain that. Oh, but it's funny. That's funny to you. That's there's so many other ways to be funny than men wearing dress. I don't see men wearing dresses as funny anyway. Um, and especially as a man of faith, I really don't get why. I don't know. I'll just tell you this. Scripturally, it says that you know we shouldn't be effeminate,
You
and
know,
so
but at the top of the music industry, it seems you got to do a lot of weird stuff. Like even Mike. Do you even know how Mike got to the top of the industry? How he got
no.
so rich?
Uh,
So
enlighten us because I'm one of those where I'll admit, growing up for the most part, like I've been blind to a lot of things, and people have kind of brought some of these things to my attention later on. So when people call me um, certain isms, I'll let you guys fill in whatever ism you want to call me. Uh, but when they start calling, or what's the other one, or homophobic, or any of these different terms, whatever terms you want to call, I've never had any of these, mindsets. I've always been like, hey, do what you want to do. But when you start trying to force straight men to have to go along with this, like I remember I had no problem with people wanting, with homosexuality, whatever. If that's what you want to do, you do that. But I remember the first time when it really started to kind of bother me in a sense on anything was the Genuine situation when he was on one of those reality shows. And a trans woman was on there asking him about if he was attracted to, the trans woman. And he's like, I like, natural women, or I guess people who were born as a female first, and that turned into a big shitstorm. And I was like, now, I mean, I don't get that. If somebody is attracted to a trans woman, that's them. But now we have to be attacked because we're not interested in trans women's. That no, that's where I have to draw the damn line. I mean, sorry, got a little off topic there, sir.
but I was saying, do you know how he got to the top of just how he got so much money? There's no way you can afford. You could spend the 25 million on Neverland and
I, I
still have
always
to go.
I heard from because see, I'm one of the people where I just paid attention to. Okay, I like this song. I like this song, and if
Mhm.
something got really big, outside of the music or entertainment, then I would kind of hear about it. Like, like I remember the Locks and Bad Boy, that whole issue. Like I only paid attention to because it got big and literally people in my community is walking around with "Let the Locks Go," "Free the Locks" T-shirts and stuff. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should pay attention to what the hell's going on. But I was only like, okay, this is the music, this is the entertainment. That's why I like the Kardashians. I never know what the hell's going on with Kardashians. You're not an actor, you're not a musician, you're not an artist. Why do I need to care what you're just somebody who's famous? Honestly, let's be honest. You're famous because of a damn sex tape.
Look, but Kanye said it. He said his wife redefined the definition of beauty, and he's very
How about plastic surgery?
yes, he's not lying. Cause now every girl want to pose. They get the same. Any girl with plastic surgery. I know a bunch of girls. I know this one girl I used to work with. Shout out to her if she ever sees this. You know you my dog. You know me now. I'm just playing. She got a BBL and she'd come into work after that having to not be able to sit down. She'd have to put her knee on this little pad or to get a butt lift. And it's like you're not gonna be 25 forever.
It's just it's not that hard to go to the gym and just work on. If you want to have a fat ass, go to the gym and do it, or do it the old-fashioned way. Go get you some collard greens, some ham hocks, and well, that's right. I don't advise anybody to go eat any non-kosher foods. That's not what I do. But
But
if you want to eat a whole bunch of fatty foods and get you a fat back, then do that. But you know, my thing is, unless you like have like issues where like you got like a really big awkward nose and you want to kind of trim that down, okay, I
Well, if
get
you
that.
got like
But if
one
you got
that's
if you
big,
got cleft palate or something, okay, I'm cool with that. I get that. But these people that when they start doing jaw alignment
you got anything
surgery and
wrong with
cheekbone
that?
enhancements and that even I put it this way, even if you're a woman and you're a little light in the top. And he's like, I just want to get a little bit more to kind of proportion myself out. Okay, I'm cool with that. But all this extra shit and changing eye colors surgically and, trying to change your hips and this shit is getting just, you have to admit that you have a mental problem at that point, that you just hate yourself. And first, you need to go and get some therapy and find out how to love yourself first and accept yourself for who you are. But this you need to keep because I look at the Kardashians and all these people and they keep changing themselves and change themselves and change themselves and then try to lie and say they didn't have surgery. That's the even crazier part. And all this, if I put it this way,
That's the part that makes me mad because it's like,
yes, that's what I'm talking about. I did it the J Lo way. She natural.
you know
She
what's
did
funny?
natural. LOL.
Females are so like negative towards each other. I've seen grown women around her age hate on her because she could still shake at 50 years old and they hating.
I mean, it's and especially these celebrity women. You have the money to pay a dietitian to hook you up with all the right foods. I mean, hook you up with the one of the best trainers in the world, and do it naturally. Now you're cutting all on your body, and my mindset. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but this shit is going to fuck you up down the road. I mean, another thing. Just because some women might have voluptuous lips, that might look right for the frame of their face. Every woman with big lips, that don't look right on every damn woman.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to,
Lie. When certain women get the big perforated lips, it looks like that culturally doesn't match. It looks like something is wrong. Now
I got a friend that
they start making lab rats.
my girl's friend, and don't get me wrong, she's an attractive young lady, but she's already top heavy. She's already, curvy. And then she goes and pumps more into her body and pumping stuff into her lips. And I'm like, you are already a very attractive woman, and all you're doing is making yourself look. Just leave
Terrible.
yourself alone.
You're
Oh,
ruining it.
let's pop this one up. It says more about what our society thinks is attractive. Modern beauty standards are toxic as fuck. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Why can't people just start loving who you are and getting more into your skin? Because you got to remember this. It doesn't matter if you're short. It doesn't matter if you're tall. It doesn't matter if you're a little heavy. There is somebody out there who finds you beautiful. You need to find yourself beautiful first. If you can't find yourself
Literally.
beautiful, then nobody's going to be in love with that.
No one's gonna.
Whatever you look like. I mean, think perfect example. Halle Berry. Halle Berry's still rated in most magazines as like one of the most attractive women. And her psyche is so jacked up that she can't hardly even keep a man. That that's what we go into. It doesn't matter how whatever surgeries you do, this and that, if you can't fix your own psyche and be comfortable in your own skin first. I mean, what was it, nephew? You familiar with nephew Tommy from Steve Harvey show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He used to be like, I only like them 14 and up. Size 14s and up. So he like, nah, don't bring me no little skinny little toothpick. I don't want all that. Don't bring me no Angelina Jolie. Bring me a Jill Scott. And so you got to remember, nobody's going to be attractive to everybody.
Yeah.
First and foremost, nobody's going to be attractive to everybody. But if you don't love who you are, and a lot of times I've dated women who it's not even their exterior that's wow. It's what's on the inside. It's how they are as a person. It's how they move. Sometimes their own confidence, their own swag. That's a lot of what adds to your attractiveness. I mean, there was one girl when I was in Italy. Her father was trying to marry this girl off, and I know this might sound weird, but in the clubs in Italy, you might see a dude who's like 70 years old out with his 30-year-old daughter. He is trying to find her husband, get her the fuck out of his house. And this
Once.
guy was trying to like he was trying to introduce her to men because his daughter was extremely socially awkward. And I tried to talk to this woman for a while. Exterior, from my opinion, she was gorgeous in every sense of the word. But personality wise, it was like talking to a 10-year-old. And sometimes you got to figure out what's going on with you first more than anything. I know guys out there where they like their women who like the natural. Like they say, hey, I like girls who don't shave. And I'm not talking about the areas that we're talking about. I'm talking about some guys are attracted to women who do not shave their underarms, do not shave their legs. That's their thing. Just know that there is somebody out there for you no matter who you are. And the more we get used to that and start understanding, let me put the comment back up there again for those who forget. So we can get out of these whatever society tells you need to look like. If society tells you, okay, well, you're only attractive if you wear these, you know, what do they call it? The high waisted jeans or this outfit or that one. Fuck what society's talking about. Wear what you want to. What's to say you can't be a tomboy and still be attractive and rocking your thing? What's to say you just do you? But we gotta deal with the mental what's going on with people more than trying to get everybody to love you and your look. Um, Thomas says, I've seen before and after photos of Nicki Minaj. She looked better before. I agree. LOL, Halle is naturally fine. She works hard, but her obsession to be perfect hurts her relationships. Exactly. I, I'm one of those guys where I like plain, more or less. I've seen a lot of these girls who I see online, and I'm like, honestly, me personally, if you put on a little bit more clothes, that would make me happier. I feel like you don't need to show off every damn thing to every damn body. I mean, because I guess how my mentality works is if you're showing off everything to everybody, then that means in my psyche, you're more available or possibly available to everybody, or you're sharing yourself more with everybody. And I prefer what's mine is mine. I'm sorry to be selfish, but that's my thinking. I remember when I was in Italy, I was engaged to a Sicilian girl, and she used to want to go out and sunbathe topless, and I was like, "Fuck no, 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 no. I'm not cool with that at all. I'm not cool with." But hey, maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe I'm just a little too socially conservative. I don't know, but I feel like we can all agree it starts mentally first, and we got to deal with what's going on with each other and love who the hell we are first before all this damn surgeries. Sorry, Jim.
But like I was saying, Michael Jackson got so rich not only off the royalties of his own songs, but he would say you and I did a song together, and we don't know what the song's gonna be. It could be the biggest hit of the century, or it could flop. I'll pay you $250 for the song. I get all the credit, but I give you $250,000 right now. He would do that, take that money, go to whatever record company owns an upcoming artist. So, say he wanted Tupac's masters at the time. He goes to the Interscope and, oh, how much for Tupac masters? Okay, cool. He was buying other artists' masters.
Because
That's how.
I know about him buying the Beatles masters.
No, but he was buying artists' masters. That's why he was so rich. And they tell you you don't get to that level of status without getting your hands dirty. When not
Yeah.
to say that I don't know specifically if Mike screwed anyone over, but I can only I can only assume if you're buying people's masters.
It kind of almost reminds me of it's kind of like the reverse with Prince, and it's kind of weird why I was always kind of more in the Prince camp than the Mike camp, and I don't know for those who remember
This
back in
guy
the
had
day,
sleeve on his face.
it was you were either with Prince and the New Power Generation, or you were with Mike, and I was with Prince, and what I found out later on is a lot of artists who I listened to later on. One that I could throw out, Alicia Keys, for instance. He wrote songs and would be like, "This ain't really a song for me, but I'm gonna give this song to this person." And so he gave people or wrote songs for other people. Now, I'm not saying he gave it to them for free, but he basically helped people blow up, then helping himself blow up off other people. It's kind of like um, what you're saying with Michael Jackson reminds me of what I heard a lot about Drake. Drake was always ripping off somebody. And this I was able to see because of just hearing the music. I was hearing he was stealing beats right and left. He was stealing lines right and left. And I mean, I'm wondering if that's similar to what Michael Jackson was doing and what we talked about off camera, what Kanye did in a sense.
Well, same thing. He would. That's why I said he called himself Moses. But they do a song blows up. All right, I get all the production credits, everything. You get 10%. And the same thing he did to T Pain. That's why I always mention T Pain because what the industry did to him was just grimy. But he had con-
It, it, I
look.
heard that I
Wait,
heard that it was
wait.
Usher was the one who had a beef mostly against T Pain.
They all did, but you got to hear specifically what Kanye did to him. So they had Cudi in a session in Hawaii when they were recording 808s and Heartbreak. And Kid Cudi goes to T Pain, yo, don't steal my shit. So T Pain goes just like this. Why would I steal it? Your boss has me here to make an album stealing my whole sound.
Hmm.
And then he took T Pain's whole sound and then shit on him like T Pain was trash. Like, all right, stop it. You called him to do your whole album, and you probably robbed him for it.
Wow. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's probably a good reason why I never focused that much behind the music because I probably would have stopped listening to all these people. And honestly, it got to a point where I did kind of stop listening to a lot more of them. Like I
Marcus, let me
listened,
ask you a question. You
yeah.
stopped listening to R. Kelly?
Ah, I gotta be honest, I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I was one of those people where I could. For me, it was a separation. That's why, like, I was never big on cancel culture stuff. I separate sometimes what people did from their heart. Like even with the whole OJ stuff, like I'm like, man, I don't know if he did it or didn't do it. And at the time, I was
Mhm.
like, but I still like movies that he was in, and I still like, I still watch some highlights of OJ when he played football back in the day. Because
Mhm.
I mean, I felt like maybe that might have been a generational thing where you kind of separated the artist from their personal life and you were like, hey, I can deal with what they're doing here, but I don't really care what they're doing behind the scenes. I guess things are changing now more and more, where maybe I need to kind of update that kind of thinking. But I just never really. And another thing is, outside of Aaliyah, I never really, I never really went with the mindset that R. Kelly was some kind of like that he was out there doing a whole bunch of stuff. I did feel like back in the day, I ain't gonna lie, that what was going on with him and Lena was extremely inappropriate. That I felt like he was probably doing, mentally playing with this girl's mind, an underage girl. But I
Mm-hmm.
look back to like Jerry Lee Lewis back in the day was doing the same thing, and a lot of other artists. And so back in those days, what you would go, I'm not gonna say I'll speak for myself. I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but I know me and other people like me would say, well, they don't care when the white boy does it, so why they got to trip when it's R. Kelly. And so I guess had more of a defensive nature with R. Kelly, but I still never felt right about what went on with him and Aaliyah. And so for and then I never really paid much attention to a lot of the other stuff. But well, until he had the trial. When he had the trial with the underage girl, that's when I kind of pulled back. I was like, I don't really know about all that. And so, though I look at it like this: I'm not putting any money into the man's pocket, so maybe it might be a little bit different. Um, you know,
Hey,
it might be a little bit different, because
you,
I don't go out and buy. I don't put. Well, honestly, I really don't put any
you know,
money into any of these artists' pockets.
you know, I'm gonna sound ignorant, but whatever. For lack of a better terms, I'm going to be stepping in the name of love while he's pissing in cups.
I mean, it's just a lot of
I'm
songs.
holding in a glass, like step in the name of love.
It's just a lot of jams which I liked. What was it? I Wish was like one of my favorite R. Kelly songs. When it talked about like one of his homeboys that got killed and him wishing he was there along the path to all this stuff. And then another thing is I would get angry at people who victimize other people. And then I had to remember also, sometimes you got to look an extra layer to this. Hurt people hurt people. He was also a victim also, and he was perpetuating a cycle. And so I can't remember who said it. You'll probably remember who said the line or get it correct because I know I'm going to jack it up. But he was talking about you know which one is the victim, the one robbing or the one getting robbed, because it's talking about basically they're both put into this circumstance where one feels pressure to have to go out and steal to get his stuff, while the other one is obviously the victim because he's being robbed. And
Mm-hmm.
so both are victims in different ways. And you know, without getting too complex or whatever, though I should be upset with this victim, I'm upset with this victim also. Like a little side note, just I definitely don't want to go into the whole Rittenhouse shit. Not too detailed, but I'll say this on the record, and because this is going to be a lot of people probably won't like this take. If you look at the situations, it was actually 3 cases of self-defense. One person is grabbing the weapon, he shoots them. Next person is trying to hit him with a skateboard, he shoots that person. Next person is trying to shoot him, he shoots that person. Now, if he wouldn't have had his monkey ass there in the first fucking place, none of this shit would be happening. And so you gotta, yeah, you're innocent here, but there needs to be charges on you for all this other shit because you should have never, ever, ever fucking been there. It's just like what I see with a lot of these police shootings. The same thing. If they would have took proper procedures, they would have never been in that circumstance. The same thing with the Trayvon Martin thing, going back to Black Lives Matter. If he would have listened to the police officers and stopped following him, it wouldn't have got into an altercation where it's even a possibility of a stand your ground, shoot somebody situation. And so at that point, you're still culpable. You're still liable for all of those things because you made that circumstance happen because you didn't have to be there. You're underage with a weapon. You should have never been there in the first place. So,
But the craziest part to me is that we look at him and attacking him and predator. But a lot of these parents were on payroll.
well,
So
it's the same thing. It's the same thing which you found out with that Ahmaud Arbery thing, where you find out that the reason why they weren't charging in the first place was most of these people were all, most of these people were all buddy buddy and tied in together throughout the law system. He's a former cop, and his sister-in-law is, one of the damn attorneys and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of this shit goes on. But I guess, yeah, let's go on ahead. So, because we're not going to go too much longer. I want to jump into the metaverse. Talk a little bit about it. I've talked about it
I think that's
on
a
the
great
political
way to wrap.
benches.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up. I want to let you spearhead it in, and then I'll just come.
Yeah. And this isn't going to be the only conversation I'm going to talk about it. I might go on ahead and link
We should.
I'm gonna go and link those. I'm gonna link these into the comment section also after the fact. So come back and check this video out. I will have the political matrix video and the one where I went on with talk to Franco on the Frank analysis.
I think we need to save Metaverse for 2 episodes. I think we should start it here and then get right back into it, just for our audience to give them a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I guess what I will do is I will kind of for this next as I say, we'll go probably about another 15 minutes. What I'll do is I will set up, you know, what the metaverse is for those who are not familiar, why you should be focused on the metaverse, why you should be paying attention to this. And this, honestly, believe it or not, all ties in to a lot of things that we've talked um, about not accepting who you are, not really feeling comfortable in your own skin, about income inequality. In the chat earlier, they were talking about NFTs and blockchain. All of these things all tie into the metaverse and stuff. And we've been getting programmed for the metaverse for quite some time. Now, I'm going to do a video on that coming up where I'm talking about movies with predictive programming, which kind of showed us the metaverse. I guess I hate to start off this way, but I have to be honest. This is where I first heard about it at. Exactly, transhumanism. That's what we're dealing with.
I never understood that term until now.
Well, I saw, and for those who might remember it, back in the day, they used to have a show on HBO called Real Sex. Real Sex would just cover all kind of different sexual topics. Sometimes it might be talking about and you go farther enough back in Real Sex, because Real Sex started out in like I want to say early '90s, back before like trans community had even started becoming, even known by a lot of people. And so that was when I first like even heard about the fact that people transitioning sex and stuff like that. Then it started getting into other topics, as in like you start hearing about weird kind of orgies, and it started talking about cyber sex and people wanting to have sex with robots and all that. And, well, anyway, it went into Furbies and people wanting to be horses and a lot of different stuff. I'm not trying to judge anybody, to each his own. What you do in your bedroom is your business. But what I was alluding to is that's the first time I saw really any of this metaverse stuff. And it was people who were having their own different types of avatars. And so it might be, say, a man who on the inside, he really feels like he's really a woman. And so his avatar, he might be a 6'4", 350-pound man, and his avatar is a 5'3" little Asian girl who's like 110 pounds. And then you have people who they want to be a half dragon person. And then you had people who they wanted to have both sexual organs and all kind of stuff like that. And I just kind of thought that's just some weird computer sex stuff that they're into. Some people want to have, multiple male members down there, and it's just a lot of this shit going on. And so I just thought it was something that was fascinating that was going on. Well, now which I'm seeing, which they're using, like for instance, on that what's the name, Mark Zuckerberg's on his metaverse like little promo, he literally has all these different people, and one of them's like a dragon who's playing cards with them, and that's the same thing that it reminded me of, which I saw in that Real Sex episode. Um, it also was talking about the sexual robots and getting more into the sci-fi stuff. And what the guy was saying back then is that a lot of this different technologies, it starts off in that arena and then transitions over to other stuff. And then I started noticing it more with video games like Sims and all these other games where you can start crafting your character or skins to be differently. You can make the video games more look like you. Like you have 2K now, and
Yep.
me and Jamie can literally have a character on the game who has our same height, weight, build, look.
They do a face scan, so you take your phone and they take like a panoramic picture of your face, and the scan looks as similar as it can possibly look to your face.
Well, see, before they were doing that, they would just have like I'll say Fight Night, for instance. It had like about maybe 60 different images, 60 different faces. And then you just had to find the skin tone you wanted and then find the kind of face template. And then you can like widen, if your eyes are a little bit more almond, then you could do that. If you have more of the epicampus fold more, you can add that more in and adjust the levels of it. Eye color change all of these things. And that's what it started with. And then you start noticing games like Grand Theft Auto, where now you're literally walking around in the world. You're doing all of these different things. And so I think back to so many different movies. For instance, what's one of the ones that really sticks out in my head? This wouldn't be the main one, but Total Recall, because it's one of the older ones. He goes to Total Recall so he can be immersed into a world where he can live out this fantasy life to kind of go to Mars and be a action star and all of this stuff. It also goes back to the Westworld, which now they have Westworld. I think it's on HBO or Stars. I can't remember which channel. But the original Westworld movie, they went to like this theme park where they can live out being in the Western world or being in the Roman world, and that's where a lot of these things were shown to. So in these movies, more and more, they're trying to get us used to the mindset of being able to live in a different world. Well, up to modern day, from back to those to up to say a Ready Player One, where it's showing a society where you have a bunch of people who are living stacked on top of themselves in poverty, and then they have these avatars which they're basically living through the video games. Everything comes about what's going on in this virtual metaverse. I think about movies like Surrogates, and that's why the transhumanism and like Sophia the robot, movies like her, even iRobot, it's showing us getting used to having robotics around us.
Or remember Wall-E? Remember Wall-E?
Wall-E, where everybody's staying at home and robots are doing everything.
Wall-E as a kid.
And that's where all of this stuff is leading to. I've seen like the actual rigs where you can be rigged up to it and running and jumping and doing all that stuff, and you have the goggles and everything on. The same thing which you would see in somebody help me if you can remember the movie / video game I'm talking about, where the guy goes back into I want to say like the Spanish Inquisition time periods, and he's going back in there, going through a quest and fighting against all of these different people in an ancient time zone, and to try to figure out secrets to help in the future. All of these things, and the rig which he's put on, he's literally running and stuff like that. Like it lifts him off the ground, and he's running in place, and he's visually put into this realistic looking world. Well, you start looking at that. You look at movies like Surrogates with Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, like how they literally put on the goggles and they live in this world, and their actual surrogate body goes out with this perfect version of them, however they want to be. If say it still looks like you, but say for instance, you might have say whatever it might be. Your legs might be, you might be a little bow-legged, so you might make yourself a little straighter posture, and your legs are perfectly fine. Or say you might want to grow in a full beard, and you can't grow in a full beard, so now you're going to have the perfect beard. Say you typically have pimples, you're not going to have any of those pimples. You're not going to have any of that. For women who want to have a certain physicality, it's all of that stuff. You're able to make that perfect version of you. Or say you don't want it to look exactly like you. Say you want to say you're a female and you want to be male, whatever, and you can have that perfect trans version of you to be your representation going out to the real world. And so that's what that movie leaned on. And that's what a lot of this stuff and this technology is all starting to push towards. And so, you have, like, for instance, one of the more famous ones, which we don't even think about that way. What's up, Misha? Um, the Matrix, and we see the
Mhm.
Matrix 4 getting ready to come out. Which I'm gonna do. You know, I'm gonna do another breakdown. The first one I did, it kind of came out a little choppy, so I'm just gonna record that one and upload it. But I'm gonna do all three of them, and I'm gonna do breakdowns on a lot of these different predictive programming movies, going in talking about the metaverse and things like that. But all of this is bridging us to a society further down the road. Now, though we're seeing, like, what's another one? The Roblox game and Sims and all of these things are leading us to getting used to a different reality center. Um, we all walk around with our phones all the time and being
Mhm.
engaged into whether it's social media now.
You know what my biggest thing is?
Mhm.
Sometimes even my girlfriend will get mad at me if I do this. Well, so we'll sit at a table, we'll be eating, and I don't have my phone out. It's not one of those times. Like, it's time to just have a conversation.
Mhm.
And um, she's just sitting there, and I'm like, "How are you just on your phone and we're just sitting here eating, and you watching a stupid TikTok?" It's like, why are you being an asshole? No, like, you're sitting right here, and we're not having any interaction, and you
Mhm.
don't find that weird.
Well, that's the thing. It's getting us more programmed, and like for instance, it's weird to me. Like before, if you wanted to play a little game on your phone, you want to play, what is it, like Angry Birds or whatever. Before, you would play the little game, it would make some kind of like fictitious kind of like scores and ways to track. And like, I remember Words with Friends would do like a, weekly, you try to get to the top of this list. And that's ways where they could try to keep you more engaged and more engaged and
Mhm,
more engaged. Now it's to the point where I don't, like, say I might be bored waiting on like my girl at the store. I'm
mhm.
sitting in the car and I'll play the game, a couple minutes here and there. Well, now what it'll do is it sends you a message. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Why don't you come back and play? And oh, this person just beat this record. And more ways to try to engage you and entice you back into this reality, because um, that's what the future is coming into. I know we talked about. Oh, I guess we didn't even talk about it, but the whole Travis Scott thing, which briefly I'll throw in my opinion and get back to it. You can't put me personally, I feel like when you have 50,000 people that are there and it's at night, you got lights and stuff shining in your face. People pass out at concerts all the time to expect for somebody who's on stage to know that people are literally dying out there in the crowd. That's a lot of blame to put on that person,
Especially if
the
they're at the
performer.
bottom of the pile getting stomped out. How the hell am I supposed to see if I'm looking all over the place and I'm not gonna notice?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, as somebody, no, I've never performed to crowds near that size. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe at most tens of people, but I've been up on stage before, and it's, especially with lighting and stuff, and you're focusing on what you're doing. It's
Mhm.
hard to really see exactly everything that's going on there. Now, event organizers and stuff, they should have been more cognizant of what was going on, and the blame should be put more on them. Now, no, granted, lawsuits are probably going to go his way because he's the top of the bill and he's a moneymaker. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as actual blame being on him for that, also you got to put some blame on people. Why are you idiots all rushing the stage like this? This person, you're literally treating them like a god, and you guys don't let me go down that road. I'm gonna just leave that one
But
alone.
then you get mad when someone gets hurt when you guys were being stupid, like ripping the lock off the gate. You couldn't just waited.
Plus, this part right here. Plus, Travis probably on drugs on stage too.
On God, he
You
probably
really
did.
think that this, what, 23, 24-year old is going to really know everything and be able to control the whole scenario like that? I also heard law enforcement were in the crowd. If law enforcement are in the crowd and they're not getting word to, because they can get word to security who are up on stage to say, hey, we got bodies out here, we got this going on, cut it. They can do that, but that was not done. So I don't like to put a lot of the blame on him. So back onto what I was saying about the metaverse, because this reminded me of Travis Scott. Because as of now, Travis Scott literally has the highest rated concert in the metaverse right now. 26 million people watched a Travis Scott concert on what is it called? I can't remember. Fortnite. So on Fortnite, he's at a concert with 26 million people. Um, I know that the powers that be, they look for, and I'm not saying that they organize for this stuff to happen, but when it does happen, if it's something that they see that they can make fit their agenda, they keep the story in the media a little bit longer to help push that agenda. And I would be surprised powers that be who would like to push more things on the metaverse, they're using this as an excuse to say this is why you guys shouldn't be going to concerts and you could just do concerts online, pushing more and more things to go online. My girl was watching something earlier, one of these judge shows. It kind of creeped me out a little bit because you got the judge sitting there, you have a bailiff, you got the two people who are there for this divorce court, and then you got screens all over the place of people. And I'm like, what is this stuff? She's like, that's the audience now. And so, yeah, that's the audience now. And so we're already starting to see this in television programs where they're
Mhm.
pushing, oh, because it's too dangerous, because of the virus which won't be named, we all just have to be separated and do everything from home and start getting away from touching and all those things like that. Hold on one second.
Um, I actually did want to bring up one thing. You know, this is gonna be so off kilter, so random, but the internet is a really dumb place. We know that. I just want to say this. Can y'all stop with the Photoshop? They really photoshopped a picture of Judge Judy. We need to talk about that. Why are y'all photoshopping the picture of Judge Judy?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That goes back to what we talked about earlier today. And God, forgive me, I'm always saying it wrong. Lease Live. She said earlier today that people are not happy with their own self image because of this unhealthy, toxic fuck. What society is putting on people on what beauty is deemed to be, and you need to believe this, or you need to believe that, or you need to. If you're not this image, you're not beautiful. Beauty is always been in the eye of the beholder. And so, just like Judge Judy looks like, and that's one thing, Judge Judy looks like Nancy Pelosi. Well, put it this way:
Mhm.
there are some people out there who find Judge Judy attractive, who find Nancy Pelosi attractive, who like that's their thing. Now, I honestly think Judge Judy is a lot more run down. I guess she would be like the poor man's Nancy Pelosi, even though I think they're probably worth about the same amount. But Nancy Pelosi, eh, let's put it this way:
I'm gonna take
half of,
Nancy.
Nan-
She got more
half of
money.
Nancy Pelosi's body is only about 25 years old. So,
I'm gonna take Nancy because she got more money. Her
so
charter plane might be a little better.
oh well. The thing, believe it or not. What was their name? Judge Judy, I heard, is like worth like 300 million. Like 300. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Go
See,
figure that part out.
she don't even garner enough attention to be worth 300 billion. That's what, like,
Yeah, 300. Yeah, 300 million. So, and Nancy Pelosi, what's on the books? They'll say she's worth like what 70. No, I think it's like 100. No, don't quote me. I can't remember. I will have to look it up to be certain. But they say like she's worth like 50 to 75 million or something like that.
probably more off the book.
And then some people say, well, no, it's not. It's not that much. It's only worth like she's worth like 10 million. And that's like, but you know, with these elites, you never can know how much money they really have because so much of it is offshore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so much of it is in places you could never audit or look into any damn way. But the metaverse, you know, and to wrap it up, you know, save for the next show because we're gonna talk a lot. In fact, I might not even do that video about the predictive programming. I might just save it for this for next time and go down my list of all the predictive programming and then really break it down. Maybe spend a couple of minutes on each. And Jalen will have to maybe bring out the stopwatch to keep me to a couple of minutes on each one because you guys know I can babble on and on and on certain things. But yeah, we're gonna have to really go into it because I honestly feel like though some of us have been sleeping on it, myself included, this is what's coming. We pay attention to it now because Mark Zuckerberg says something, but there what is it, Unreal? Um, and I can't remember the name of the other video game company. They're the ones who have really been, you know, the heads and pushing a
Wait,
lot.
Unreal?
Yeah.
I think. Wait, let me look them up because I think they designed one of my favorite video games.
Oh, they designed a lot of your favorite video games.
You ever heard of Ghost of Tsushima?
Yes, yes, that's they talk about that in there as far as you know some of their metaverse technology and stuff. And so like another thing, another because see you have a couple of different functions. You have them doing the platforms and the building for the metaverse, which you see these in a lot of video games. Like NBA 2K now, it used to just be a lot of these games used to be you just had the NBA game. Now it's you walk around the city and interact with other players and go do pickup games, and it's starting to create more of that Grand Theft Auto walking around in a reality. I remember years back when I used to see people, they'd be like, "Well, no, I want to get the PC or laptop version of this game," and it was kind of weird to me, but that's what more people were doing, and that's leading more and more into this metaverse, um, you know, kind of scenario. Now we have the VR goggles and stuff like that, and as more and more things get on, it's going to get to a point where some people are only seeing it as, oh, well, this is some kind of maybe for social media or maybe business ventures. It's going to become in everything. Says Marcus, you need to check out Homecoming on Amazon.
Oh, Marcus, you were supposed to send me some movies to watch. Speaking of something.
Oh yeah. Well, after we get off, I'll call you,
Okay.
and then we'll talk. Cause, dude, I got so much to fill you in on.
Okay.
Homecoming. I need to write that down. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna screenshot that. And so I'll remember to take a peek at that. Homecoming. I'm wondering what that is. It seems well. Now I could be thinking of something else, but you know, all of these things are all leading to something bigger. And what I say is like this, like even how we're communicating now. It's I'm not trying to crap on it. We do need to have our ways to be able to communicate and things like that. Um, though I never thought that I would be doing content as far as a show to groups of people, I've always just liked having conversations with people, and we can either agree on some things, disagree on some things, but as long as we're being honest, we can try to find where we can meet and on things of agreement. Um, Normally, I've always been able to find some point of agreement with everybody on something. So, all we can do is just keep having these conversations. Um, Eventually, it's going to come to a point and I know a lot of people who are older than me, I would say mostly are a lot going to be a lot more resistant to this whole metaverse, scenario until just like how Facebook was, or not, I won't say Facebook, I'll say Twitter, for instance. I didn't want to get on Twitter at all. I was like, tweeting, that just sounds dumb. I mean, just the name of it sounds stupid. I don't want to follow anybody.
Now look.
Now I have what, 4 Twitter pages actually. And what happens is, as society changes, if you don't go along with the society, eventually you get left out of the society. Now, it is going to come to a certain point where I will draw my lines and I will have to say, c'est la vie, hasta luego to some of y'all out there, and y'all can keep going with this path as it keeps going further and further. But, you know, overall, many of us who are not going to be into some of these things will get dragged into them one way or another. So that's what's coming in the future. You look into, the Great Reset with Klaus Schwab, what he talks about, the Agenda 2030. For those out there who are not familiar with, yeah, Build Back Better. For those who are not familiar with David Icke, write that name down right now. David Icke. He's just one of numerous people which I've listened to for many years and have watched the stuff they talk about become more and more and more pieces of reality. I even saw in one of these things we did on our last stream with Elle, where she showed where if you say certain things, you will be punished and penalized, or they actually go attack you for not saying things properly. I notice now on Twitter, if I tweet like, man, you see that bullshit? They ask me, do you still want to say this? Because I said shit in there. That's going to, things like that start small and advance and advance and advance to the point where you're in movies like Demolition Man. And for those who know what I'm talking about, the part where it says, John Spartan, you've been fined 5 credits for a violation of the verbal morality standards. That's where we will be at some point when these things start getting mandated. And in that future, literally chocolate, literally tobacco, alcohol, was it salt, like all kind of stuff is illegal. And that's where we start getting to as the future gets more dystopian. They have a movie on HBO, Michael B. Jordan, called Fireman. That book is about him literally destroying books, information, and then people are as he's destroying this information, they start recreating education. That right there reminds me of what we talked about earlier with the critical race theory stuff. How some people on the hardcore right don't want education being taught so that they can reshape things. Oh, well, slavery wasn't as bad, and this didn't happen, and that didn't happen. Everybody just forget everything. That way they can start recreating their own history. So, yeah, I guess we will wrap it there. Jay, got any things that you'd like to lead us out with?
I just want you guys to be ready for the next episode because I'm excited.
Oh, I'm definitely excited. I'm about to. You guys know the next episode we're going to be talking about 90% about the metaverse. We're going to get into blockchain. We're going to get all that. We might even have our first. We might even. I might try to get us a guest. On our first guest, and that way Jay can drill him on some questions, drill me on some questions. I could do some breakdowns on some stuff, and so excited for it. Hope all you guys tune in. Make sure to tweet it out, share. Since we're just starting this out, this is only our 4th episode. Let everybody know what we're talking about over here, and this isn't just like another political channel. We're talking about a lot of other things to focus on, which I guess do backhandedly tie into politics, but that's not our sole focus. Even though I am known for politics, this isn't what this show is about. So let them know that we're a new little up and coming, show, and let them know what we're talking about. Um, I wish you all a good, well, that's right, it's Friday tomorrow, so a good weekend to those coming up. Make sure to catch us on the Political Matrix. Um, let's see. And I'm pretty sure I got some other stuff in the works content wise. Make sure you guys look out for that. But this has been Talk of the Ages. I'm your host, Marcus Cage, and that's where you're supposed to jump in on cue,
But
knucklehead.
I was thinking of a name to give myself. I mean, Jay Lawson is cool, but I was thinking of something cool, so I froze.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna work this out. We're gonna work it out next time.
for
But
now, you know what? I'm gonna change my name every episode. I'm like a
oh,
shapeshifter.
I love that. I love that. I
So
love that.
today I was Jay Smooth. I was left by myself for a little bit, so today I'm Jay Smooth.
All right, Jay Smooth. All right, everybody. I wish y'all good one. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to give us those thumbs up. Make sure to comment, even if it's like, you guys should do this, or you guys should have done that. Whatever.
And
Just comment.
if
All
you
right.
talking the truth, they say you're crazy. Amongst your friends, talk of the ages. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Nice bars, son.